Bill Gates once said, vaccines are already safe and improve millions of lives in developing countries. Innovation will make it possible to save more children than ever before. Because we agree with this position stated by Bill Gates, we affirm the resolution that resolved public health concerns justify compulsory immunization. Our core value is the following. Maintaining public health is a global priority because people have a right to live in a world that protects their health and safety.
First, infectious diseases can be highly contagious and therefore a threat to public safety. According to Dr. Gordon from the National Intelligence Council in Washington, D.C., infectious diseases are a leading cause of death, accounting for 13.5 million deaths worldwide in 1998. Furthermore, the CDC issued a health advisory in June 2011 warning that the United States is currently experiencing the highest number of measles cases since 1996. As of June 17, 2011, 136 of the 156 confirmed cases involved unvaccinated Americans who had recently traveled abroad. Unvaccinated visitors to the United States and people who didn't travel but may have caught the disease from those who did. Therefore, choosing to not be vaccinated has led to this significant amount of increase in measles.
Second, immunizations protect and ensure our community's safety. According to the Gates Foundation, tremendous progress has been made to eradicate polio in the last 2 decades. Since 1988, about 2.5 billion children around the globe have been vaccinated against polio, and the number of polio cases per year has decreased by 99%. Polio was a disease that once killed millions of people, and now is close to being eradicated through vaccination. According to PATH, an international global health organization, the HIV kills about 4,000 babies each year. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, by 1998, vaccinations of preschool children reduced the number of HIV cases by more than 99%, which saved many lives. Therefore, vaccines significantly decrease the risk of getting the disease and protecting our communities from infection.
Finally, vaccines are a safe means to prevent infectious disease. For example, according to the World Health Organization, measles is highly contagious and a leading cause of death among young children. However, the World Health Organization also stated that the MMR vaccine is safe, cost-effective, and actually resulted in a 78% decline in measles deaths between 2000 and 2008. In other words, the MMR vaccine has been proven to be a safe and effective way of preventing the spread of infectious disease.
We cannot deny the obvious fact vaccinations prevent the spread of infectious diseases and save millions of lives each year. We believe that immunization should be compulsory because we value keeping the public safe from diseases. Therefore, we affirm the resolution that resolved that public health concerns justify compulsory immunization.
Thank you.
We have Hunter, and Brady with some cross-examine questions. Loud and clear. Just one.
Immunizations are. Then who is responsible to pay for the vaccines if the individual cannot afford it?
Shouldn't someone be held accountable if the vaccine is proven to cause injury or death to the person? Who is to choose which vaccines are mandatory and which ones are not?
Okay. Now we have Alex with our opening negative statement.
Would you want us to respond to those questions?
We normally do during the rebuttal. Is that okay?
Oh, okay, because we were under the impression that you would ask, there was 3 minutes of a back and forth question and answer.
Okay, we can do that.
Would that be okay? Just because that's how we prepared for it. Sorry.
We're flexible.
Okay, so do you want to start with the first question asked so that we could answer it?
Sure. If immunizations are compulsory, then who is responsible to pay for the vaccines if the individual fit?
So people can go for certain diseases. People can go for free vaccinations at places like pharmacies, such as CVS and Duane Reade, and they can get free vaccinations for those who cannot pay for them themselves. What was the next question, please?
Shouldn't someone be held accountable if a vaccine is proven to cause injury or death to a person?
Only 1 person out of 2.4 million people who take vaccinations either contract the virus or receive side effects. So, we would rather take the risk of people getting side effects rather than people dying from severe infectious diseases.
The third question is, who is to choose which vaccines are mandatory and which ones are not?
Should decide which vaccines are mandatory and which vaccines are not.
Depending on the severity of the disease.
Right. All right, Alex with the rebuttal. The negative statement.
While there is no disputing that there are benefits to immunization, we by no means believe that public health justifies compulsory immunizations. For a number of reasons, first and foremost, mandatory immunizations are a violation of our civil liberties. Second, there is no guarantee that vaccines are a 100% effective in 100% of the people. And lastly, vaccines, while most important in the control of certain diseases, would not eliminate the threat of all diseases, even if mandatory. If we allow government to demand control over our health when it concerns immunization, then who is to say what else government should have a say in? Would this be the opening of Pandora's box, where the government would have a say over when it would be economically feasible to keep you alive if you were on life support? Besides, in the 1986 Supreme Court decision, the Supreme Court ruled that under the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, drug companies could not be held responsible if a child has an adverse reaction to a vaccine and injury or death. Now that they do not have to be held accountable, but you want me to think about that? Since there is no guarantee that the immunization should work, then why require it? Vaccines are only effective 85 to 95% of the time, and their effectiveness decreases over time. In fact, a person who is immunized, if exposed to a disease such as measles, has a 27% chance to catch the disease. The statistics in a similar rate with the chickenpox, a 20% in adults, and as well all known, the cases of chickenpox have a tendency to be much more severe in adults. With the flu, the percentage jumps to 30%, and you have to get the shot every year because the virus is constantly changing. Many dangerous infectious diseases such as mosquito-borne illnesses, HIVs, bubonic plague, yes, it is still around. In 2011, a case of the bubonic plague was found in New Mexico. Malaria, there is preventive shot, but it is not a vaccine. SARS, Ebola, and diarrhea diseases. All of these diseases do not have a vaccine and are listed in the top 10 world killers of diseases. Diseases will still go on killing with or without immunizations. Do you think it is a good idea to get immunized? Sure. Do we think that? We should have a good health practice? Absolutely. But we think that it should be our choice and not the choice that someone else is forcing us to make. Let us be free to make the right decision. Isn't that what our country was founded upon? Freedom? Thank you.
Okay, so we have a few questions, so we're going to invite the cross-examination team up to ask you a few questions about that wonderfully written speech.
In your rebuttal, where did you get all your information from?
If we weren't going to use vaccinations to stop the spread of disease, what would be an alternative? Is that alternative proven to be more effective than vaccinations are?
So would it just be easier if we just asked you all the questions and then you'll respond in your rebuttal?
Yeah, no, well, you can, we're just ask the questions and then we'll process and then we'll, just like we did.
Okay, great.
Alright, you said that you can do what you want with your own body. However, this can result in other people getting harmed. How do you respond to that? According to several amendments in the Bill of Rights, mandatory vaccinations would violate people's rights to privacy, as well as the right to practice their religion. How would you respond to that?
Okay, thank you.
websites that will be on the wiki page.
And we don't have it right now.
Not all vaccinations can harm other people, but it would just harm yourself, and that's your choice, not the humans. choice. And that's the answer to your second question. And then your third question, the response is, it's your choice how to practice your health. It's nobody else's, your body, your choice. And it would not harm anyone else. Yeah. So, what about the methods?
Okay. So, the government says that 13% of the people that sued, so doctors say that more people died from swine flu vaccine than the actual swine flu. Government says that 13% of the people that sued because of vaccinations, one because of serious effects.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna have our affirmative rebuttal team come up and do their part.
Our opponent claims that freedom of privacy is more important than public health and that vaccines violate our civil rights. However, at an airport, your privacy is always violated because they check through your bags and your private belongings and property. Delta Airport lists the machinery that they use, and if your rights are violated there, why can't they be limited for public safety? My opponent also claims that getting the actual disease is better than getting the side effects. However, vaccines are medicines that boost the immune system's actual ability to protect against foreign invaders, mainly infectious agents that may cause disease. For example, polio diseases have gone down 99% because of vaccines. This was stated by Cancer.gov.
My opponent claims that vaccines are not necessary. According to CDC, community has become such a global area and we never know what may happen. For example, in Indiana, a man from Africa came in illegally and spread measles to everyone. This spread rapidly through thousands of restaurants and public places. If people were to have gotten vaccines, this would not have been such a big epidemic. My opponent also claims that not everyone can afford vaccines. The Vaccines for Children program provides free vaccines for eligible children. We found this on cdc.org. Also, the NYC Department of Health and Mental Hygiene's Bureau of Immunizations lists the VSF program and says it is 100% free.
My opponent also claims that kids can have allergic reactions to vaccines that are life-threatening. Vaccines.org states that the odds that your child will react to a vaccine is 1 in a million. Also, a life-threatening side effect can be brought under control at the doctor's office or the hospital where you took the vaccine. A child is 100 times more likely to get struck by lightning than to have a severe allergic reaction to a vaccine. My opponent claims that freedom of religion is more important than public health. However, freedom of religion in the United States, accorded to us by the First Amendment, is not an absolute right. The Supreme Court has held that, generally, the rights of parents to raise their children in accord with their personal and religious beliefs. Like I stated, my opponent claims freedom of religion is more important than public health. However, religious freedom in the United States, accorded to us by the First Amendment, is not an absolute right. The Supreme Court has held that, generally, the rights of parents to raise their children in accord with their personal and religious beliefs must yield when the health of children is at risk or when there is a recognized threat to public safety. There is an example of this in a Supreme Court case of Yoder versus Wisconsin, where a man decided to say that if the public, his child didn't want his child to go to school for longer than he wanted him to because of his religion stated that he didn't need to. So the government said that if it isn't a threat to our national security or our health, it is okay to not follow these general laws. My opponent also claims it's unconstitutional to force someone to get vaccinated because of their amendment rights. However, a doctor at the Indiana Emergency Health Hotline said one's person's choice isn't equal to the entire well-being of the community. The number of that hotline is 1-877-263-0011.
While there is no doubt there is much research to prove that vaccines can help control the spread of certain diseases, it is not effective at the prevention of all diseases. Similarly, that many diseases still do not have vaccines. What about those diseases? What should happen to diseases that mutate? There are too many factors to consider when requiring vaccines. It should be the person's choice, not one that is forced upon. Not everyone can afford health insurance or the vaccines. Who is going to pay for them? You? Like the Star-Spangled Banner states, we are the land of the free. Should we be free to make the right decision? Thank you.
Vaccines never really cure the disease. They only just it's just a preventive measure. And you said the shot was 100%. Nothing's 100%.
Some vaccinations can do more harm to you than the actual flu. For example, doctors say that more people died from the swine flu than the actual flu.
So we'll finish up with our affirmative closing.
In the rebuttal, my opponent claims individual freedoms are more important than public health. However, while individual freedoms are important, we value keeping the public safe from disease and believe public health takes priority over rights in this case. According to the Supreme Court's ruling in Wisconsin versus Yoder, the Supreme Court has held that, generally, the rights of parents to raise their children in accord with their personal and religious beliefs must yield, meaning stop, when the health of children is at risk or when there is a recognized threat to public safety. My opponent claims that not everyone can afford vaccines. The Vaccines for Children program provides free vaccines for eligible children. This is from cdc.org. Infectious diseases are a leading cause of death, accounting for a quarter to a third of the estimated 54 million deaths worldwide in 1998. Our core value is maintaining public health is a priority, and people have a right to live in a world that protects their health. Infectious diseases are highly contagious, and immunizations protect and ensure our community's safety. Vaccines are a safe means to prevent infectious diseases. For example, measles vaccination resulted in a 78% decline in measles deaths between 2000 and 2008 worldwide. Without vaccines, many people in the world would be dying of diseases. They Therefore, without vaccines, there would be outbreaks that could become epidemics. In conclusion, vaccinations are essential to public health and safety. Therefore, we affirm the resolution that resolved that public health concerns justify compulsory immunization. Thank you.
Having the negative was very difficult for us because, there are so many of us that strongly believe that, because we've had our nurse from the school come in and speak to us about diseases, and everybody's like, well, yeah. So, that was something for us that, was really difficult to kind of struggle and, with, but we just want to know we agree with you. We're gonna be posting on the wiki, our thoughts and feelings about the debate. So we'll touch base there.
Great, you guys did a wonderful job, especially given the fact that you were more for the affirmative than the negative. So congratulations on a great debate.
Thank you.
It seems like they did a lot of stuff last minute.
Okay, so you felt like maybe they could have prepared more? Okay, all right. Arslan?
It was different how we did things. The cross-examination was really different.
Yeah. So we were given a set of guidelines, and so it's interesting, right? Because they just did it differently than us. So we had to kind of roll with the punches there. But I think you guys adjusted very well there. Sam?
I feel like they could have had some more examples for some of their points. Like, they said that for the swine flu vaccine, more people died from the vaccine than the actual disease, but that's the only one they really talked about, that and the other flu.
So what would have made their argument stronger?
If they had, maybe some more or severe, they didn't really mention any of the severe side effects I read about when they said there were severe side effects.
You?
I kind of felt like they were more opinions than actual facts that they found. They didn't cite any of their sources.
So do you guys see why we were stressing such an important fact of citing your sources? Because it turned your statements from opinions to facts. So that's why we were pushing on that. Ethan?
I think in the cross-examination, we couldn't attack them because we just asked them questions. They give.
It wasn't like a back and forth like we had prepared for. You're right.
It's not as, you can't attack them as
right, because it wasn't the back and forth. We weren't really attacking, you were discussing.
How did you guys feel during it? You guys are talking a lot about the other side. What did you guys think? How did you guys do? What was it like?
What did you think, Maddie?
I felt more confident than I had for the past comp debates because I felt like I was a lot more prepared, and at least for the cross-examination, we had a lot of cards on the facts that they had said in the questions they had asked. But I think it would have been better, like you said, if we gone back and forth, because then we could have countered their answers and would have been easier than just asking and answering.
So here's my question. You guys were really upset that we made you do the negative side when you were the affirmative side this whole time, right? So do you think having split the class in half and half of you focus on the negative helped us be more prepared for this debate?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? We always have a plan. All right. Ben, last comment, and then we're going to let the judges give us
They didn't
their
really
feedback.
answer any of our questions.
They were talking about Star Spangled Banner, Pandora's Box.
All right, so you felt like you deserved better responses to your questions.
Yeah, we could attack. We could just
attack. Okay. All right, we're gonna let Mr. Alexander was nice enough to schedule a big part of his day to come in and watch, and Ms. Molnar filled in last minute because Ms. Kay is sick. So we're gonna let them give us their feedback, and then we can discuss a little more after they.
Congratulations. You did a wonderful job, and you represented our school very well. So what Ms. Molnar and I did, we had two sheets, one for the affirmative and one for the opposition. And we were rating each point that was being made, or actually taking points away if like a point wasn't made. So we came up, we're going to put you out of your misery initially and tell you who we think won the debate. And then we want to give you feedback. So we want you to listen to us. So we're going to start by saying who we think actually won the debate. And then we'd like to give you some points. But actually what was really wonderful listening to you is you've already made those points that we would make. We're just to validate what we heard. All right, so Ms. Molnar, what did you do as far as rating the two teams? The negative and the affirmative.
As far as the negative was concerned, they had a total of 14 points from this rubric that we were given.
And I gave North Broward 12 points in the rubric. And they had a possible of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 18 points total, we felt like. So I gave 12, you gave
14.
14, okay. And then on the affirmative?
As far as the affirmative, I gave you guys 17 points. I see you guys every day though too, so probably a little biased. I try not to be though.
17 of 18. So then, wow, I can't go through that. And I gave you 15 of 18, which is still excellent. Clearly, the winner in the debate. But the important part is, so what distinguished the two teams? What it was that we decided would be that the affirmative would actually be the winning side. And I want to stress again is that you really already shared with us what were the points that we looked at to determine that you were the winner. But we do have some specifics that we'd like to bring up to you. Do you want to go first and go back and forth?
Sure. We also had another little sheet that we used to take out points or give you points for. You guys your introduction was great. Not only did you have a quote that grabbed the reader that the other class did not. There was nothing that drew the reader in, so you guys got mega points there. You clearly stated your different parts. Steve, I thought you did a really good job being clear and then being really impactful on that. The only thing that kind of confused me in your opening statement was you started talking about HIV, and then I wasn't quite sure where you were going with that. So I feel like it didn't really quite wrap around. Maybe I just didn't hear it, so pardon me if I didn't hear that part, but that was the only part that I was confused about in your opening. And then you concluded very effectively at the end as well.
Do you want to comment?
It was HIV.
So that was my lack of knowledge. I thought it was HIV, and maybe it was just not hearing you clearly.
And I heard HIV as well, so that is.
And then explaining maybe what that was
right.
to the average, because I don't know what that is.
Right. No, I think that first of all, you present yourself very well, and I think when you go before the negative side, the opposing team, you were clearly in control of the statement, the affirmative position. I felt like a couple of things that you could have done actually made your case even stronger. You presented a very strong case, but from the affirmative position that public health concerns justify mandatory immunizations, you can bring up the eradication of one disease that used to really cause many deaths. And what is one disease? When you come to mind, I don't think I heard, but maybe you said it, but the one disease that's totally eradicated worldwide, Eve, what is that?
Polio. Or smallpox.
Smallpox. Polio still is close. Yeah, 99%. But smallpox is totally eradicated from this whole earth. And to say, you know, what that used, the devastation, the death, the illnesses that used to be so prevalent back, actually wasn't that long ago, and now it's totally gone from our planet, and it's because of that vaccine. And I think if you'd have brought that up and the polio thing, which you did, that is such a clear argument for why vaccines have made a difference in our quality of life. But you did an excellent job.
So cross-examination, I know we all kind of went through like, wait, what? You don't do it the way we've been practicing? And we'll definitely clear that up for next time, as this is our first round through. So you guys did a really good job coming up and knowing that you might not be supposed to be at that point. It started off well, but there was a couple things that bothered me. One was, can you state all your resources for the whole opening statement. If you guys had to do that, could you come up there and say, we did this, 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 and this, and this? And if you could, awesome, which I think you could.
Right.
But I think in the future it's best to state specific things that you're maybe unclear of and you want to know where you got that information. So state specifically what resources you want instead of just all of them.
But they didn't state any of the sources for anything.
Okay, so maybe rephrasing it to, I noticed you didn't state any of your resources in the opening statement. Would you mind telling us a couple of your resources instead of saying all? And I mean, come on, you're writing this stuff on the spot, so you guys did a great job, but just for future. Also, Ben, it sounded like you stated something for their side.
Yeah.
I don't know if I heard that correctly. Maybe you got the opposite side of your card and you read it accidentally. So maybe that's organization for next time. We need to really organize our cards since you guys have been practicing the negative. You seemed to pull that in there. I was like, oh, I hope they didn't hear that, you know. But other than that, great.
I think this is again responding to the cross-examination. There was one reference made that's fairly New York centric that I don't think they got. What was that? Dwayne Reed. What does that mean? 2 streets, New York. Yeah. I think probably you know, need to be consider your audience when you're responding. The point is well taken. That's true. You know, Dwayne Reed's there, but there are lots of different drugstores and pharmacies that we can go through the United States and other parts of the world for the vaccinations. I think the point, I question this maybe a bit, but maybe it's the right answer, is who should decide, and what was the answer, who should decide which vaccinations are or are not mandatory? What was the response that was given?
I think we said the Supreme Court should decide depending on the severity of the disease.
Right, right. And I just wondered about that response, that the Supreme Court should be in the position to do that. I mean, I think it's, you know, when you're responding, you know, it came out the top of your head, and actually they would take in consideration the medical experts. And so I guess, you know, I think the medical experts should be the one doing it. However, the Supreme Court would be saying, well, okay, I consider that, and I validate what the medical experts' resources have said to us.
Right. So the rebuttal. I thought this was a really strong speaking round for you guys, even Jonah. I didn't expect you to do so well, and I hate to say that, but you did a great job. I don't get to see you up here a lot. You tend to be a little more quiet, and I saw you come out of your shell, and that's great. I really loved the lightning quote that you guys came out, like you're more like, or what was it? You're
more likely to get struck
by lightning.
Times more likely to get struck by lightning.
That was very impactful to me, and that kind of like hit a chord with me, and I love that. You brought up your Yoder versus. What was it? I missed it.
What was the source? What's the source?
It's God.
Vaccines.org.
He was actually in charge.
That's right.
It was good. I liked it. Your Yoder versus Wisconsin case, that definitely came out loud and clear. I would have actually liked to heard a little bit more of it since I knew the backstory a little bit. I don't know if our other team did, but I think that definitely helped. So that was cool that Mr. Shepard got to come in and share that with you guys. I think that was really helpful in your case.
All right, I'm trying to read through my notes. I wrote, highlighted the lightning example as a great response. And also, I loved what you said. You didn't say this specifically, but the freedom of religion does not trump the health of children. I thought that was an excellent point. And then the question about swine flu. They made the point that swine flu vaccine caused more deaths than the swine flu, right? Didn't they say that? And so I think it would have been a great opportunity to go back to that and say, well, wait a minute. Well, then we showed that the swine flu vaccine was really working, right? Because people didn't die from the swine flu. You were going to have some reaction. You're always going to have some reaction to the vaccine.
1 year.
Yeah?
We didn't have an article for it,
So you just chose not.
Evidence.
Well, and I think that would be good. I mean, they said that. I think it's a great point. They said that the swine flu, but the reality is that who's to argue that the vaccine didn't work then? You know, what if we didn't have the vaccine? How many people would have died from swine flu? Who knows? But I think it could counter their argument. I love the hotline number. Great. My source, and you gave the number to call.
Yeah.
The hotline.
That was
That's 11.
And then, you know, your closing was just going over, again, giving more resources. You guys were so packed with resources, it was amazing. You could really tell that you did your homework. And again, really clear, Jake, on what you did. Next time, I'll just love you to stand up. Remember we talked about that. Standing like this. But
in the middle of it, I like took my hands up because
you remembered us saying, no, no, maybe not that. But.
And I gave you I gave you total points for front of folks. You did a great job. You summarized it all. You didn't introduce new information. You responded. It wasn't just a pre-prepared data that you actually were responding to their argument. So I think that was very well done. So this is really interesting, though. So Ms. Muller and I compared points at the end of the touch points, the affirmative position, and you gave a total of
29 points.
And I gave a total of 29 points. So we weren't comparing notes. So that was great. Out of 33 possible.
Yeah.
So you did very, very well. As you know, so give you a round of applause. Very well done. Evan.
Does that mean we won?